What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. Oh no. And I uh I got a screener for a movie called Helen and the Bear. And I wanted to review this. It's an LGBTQ documentary, and I'm also a member of Galika, so I wanted to jump into this. Um at least it's tangentially an LGBT. I mean, it doesn't like it's not like overflowing, but it is a theme of this movie. So uh, click like and subscribe so we can talk about Helen and the Bear, which I don't think there is another review of this on YouTube. I searched. YouTube might be hiding them from me, but I subscribed to like, I don't know, like 300 other YouTube critics. I would think it would aggregate. Like, I don't think it would hide that from me. So it, it just wanted to show me a whole bunch of people who had reviewed The Bear, the TV series. So I was like, oh, okay. It's a little bit harder with documentaries about bounce around at film festivals too, because even when you put in the year, people see it in different years. It's like released in different years. So it does have a couple reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, so I don't feel too bad. One time I was past the movie, I think I was the first person to have seen it and or review it, and it was not in English. So I passed. It's like, I don't think I'm the right person to start off to kick off the reviews. Um, but Helen and the Bear, one of the reasons I picked it was I like the dynamic. It's got a political lean to it in that the movie is centered around a couple in their golden years. There are a lot of documentaries on aging that I've seen recently between this and Time Passages and Much Ado About Dying. I feel like I keep seeing documentaries on getting older. And this is another one where the wisdom of those older than us is being passed down, and we're getting to see what it's like and hearing. It's always fun to hear people who are now up there in age and how they used to be randy back in their day, their exploits. They joke around about how many partners they've had, and I guess he's had a lot more than her. uh it's suggested, it's joked about. And she is the second wife, which is another thing that's a little interesting. Like, he has a daughter from the first wife from a previous marriage, but it's Helen that has stayed with him to the end here. And she does question a little bit of her own life and her choices and her sexuality, talking a little bit about how, maybe she was gay and just didn't uh, didn't ever explore that and didn't let that part of her out, and chose instead to bury it. She had a little bit of a family that said, there's a public life and a private life, and you can do whatever you want in your own home, but publicly, you know. So, um, and I guess that leads her to dating a representative from California. They love the fact that they're both like native Californians. Like, one is like fifth generation, the other's like fourth generation, so they've been there like forever in terms of their family, and they're still living out there. I think he's the uh, former Congressman Devin Nunes. I heard his name dropped in this as Pete was working to dethrone him, get him out of office. I think Pete swapped parties in 2007, from what I was able to pick up. I guess he used to be a Republican congressman and is now a Democratic well, not a congressman anymore, but a Democratic lobbyist, or helps fundraise, or he does whatever he can. He's in his 90s. So, yeah, but he still is engaged in that spectrum. There was something that he said about, he's like, I can remember being 6, but I can't remember yesterday. I was like, wow. Uh, that's when I say like this documentary is about aging, it really is. Like it feels like it's giving you these little tidbits, these little like glimpses into like what's ahead for us who are not quite there yet. Um, but they reminded me so much. One of the reasons I liked the documentary was because it reminded me of my parents, who were like politically opposite, and joked about how every time they voted, they were essentially just canceling each other out. So, but they still voted to make sure that they were actually canceling each other out. It's not like they could just agree to stay home and like stare and like, uh, no, they both exercised the right to vote, but hilariously knew they were canceling each other out. Anyway, um, so, seeing that sort of difference in ideology bleeding into this was not something that I was unfamiliar with. Um, I would say to Alex Blair, who's directing the director of this, that what really works here is that he just kind of sits back and lets the movie happen. I love voyeuristic documentaries that aren't too intrusive, that aren't constantly just sitting down and being like, could you tell the camera everything about your life before you die, please? Thank you. That would be great. They talk to the camera like a little bit, but not so much. It's more just like an interesting exploration of, um, getting older and thinking about how you use your time and how you still have time left to use. And while he has less time left to use than Helen does, she's clearly starting to think about, um, what time she has left. I love that she's still like driving in to buy cigarettes, and I'm like, in California of all places. So they're wealthy because like that has to be like the most restrictive state in terms of like smoking regulations and taxing cigarettes and everything. They were like the first ones to ban it, I believe, in throughout all indoor restaurants. And so the fact that she's able to locate them in California feels like a win, oh, wow, that must have been a journey. I don't know, maybe they're everywhere and it's just like a thing, but it feels like everything I know about California says they must be taxed at a rate at which, Beverly Hills this is where you have to go to find them. um, yeah, it's a very interesting thought piece on what's next in life, because I don't think a lot of people who are in this age range like watching documentaries reminding them of how they're aging, or the health problems that still might befall them. And I think this plays to the younger crowd who can still put enough distance between themselves. I don't know that this plays to the AARP crowd, because it's possible that it's a little bit too close to home for them. So for me, I liked it. The problem is it doesn't have audio description. And this is one of the movies that if I could encourage audio description, I would love to, because it's not a talking head documentary. So it's actually a documentary where there were plenty of times where I wasn't sure what was going on, because blind film critic. And there are times when you're just focusing on the visuals, and I clock this documentary at having lots of potential to actually have rich audio description, which not a lot of documentaries do, because a lot of documentaries are talking head documentaries where they interview people and everybody has to talk to the camera and it's just nonstop speech. This one has a little bit more rumination on life, and there isn't like a narrator. There's not like telling us of the story of Helen and Pete, you know, there's or Helen and the bear. Um, there isn't that element to it. There's just occasionally an aside to the camera. Sometimes there's some dialogue that they capture sort of in real time just by being voyeuristic in life and seeing people do things. But it's not designed as an like one-on-one interviews. So it's one of those documentaries that actually would be sort of a texturized, well texturized audio description track, should it get one day, by somebody who's at least fairly competent. You know, I don't know, who's somebody who at least, I mean, it should be fine, like out there. But I know you're still bouncing around film festival, and I don't know what your distribution and money is like and all that kind of stuff. I kind of always hope and wish that more film festivals would require accessibility, because it would require more films to have accessibility later on downstream, so that way we would get them later on in life. We'd have more Oscar nominees that would have already recorded audio description tracks by the time they get there, all that kind of stuff. But I chose to review this, so I'm not going to punish you for it. I knew the movie did not have audio description, and I knew it was a small-ish documentary that was still doing the festival circuit. So it's not like it's theatrically released. I wanted to give Helen and the Bear the platform if I thought it deserved it, if I liked it. And I do. It's hard to quantify that specifically, because I thought it would have a little bit more talking. I'm so used to talking head documentaries that I didn't for a second think this wouldn't be one. I thought it was going to be a lot more like All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, where Helen was just going to be talking about her life a lot more to the camera. It wasn't that, but there isn't anything that I don't like about this. So, I, without the actual audio description, the grade, like landing on a specific letter grade, would be really hard, because it could be an A, could be a B plus, could be B, A minus, B minus. I don't know, because there are scenes where I have absolutely no context as to what's happening. But I don't think that there's audio description that could be added to this that would make me not recommend the movie. So I would say I recommend this title, and if I was tomato meter, I would vote fresh. I don't know what score I would give it, but sometimes it's pretty easy to tell that, at least. And I would encourage the filmmaker to think about audio description, to open it up so that I could also recommend it to blind and low vision users in a more succinct and definable way. But I do want to add to the conversation, because I do love film, and I want to be able to talk about smaller films too, which honestly, most of the top YouTube critics, it's funny. Yeah, you got the channel with 412 subscribers. The channel with 2 million subscribers doesn't even review movies he doesn't like. He only reviews movies he does like. So, and then he only reviews movies that he think will get him the likes and the follows. So there's a trade-off. Those of us down here in the dregs who are not chasing clout all the time and who are here for an actual purpose and a reason, like to talk about audio description and accessibility in film, if I don't have 2 million subscribers, I know not everybody's looking for a blind film critic, but I'm here for those who are, and I review movies like Helen the Bear. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.